Ask the Mayor, your chance to ask the Mayor of Weymouth, Bob Hedlund, questions about the town of Weymouth and or anything else that you have concerns about. Ask the Mayor is pre-recorded. And now, here's Bob Hedlund.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Ask the Mayor. We're in the middle of spring, and it's glorious out today. As always, we're reporting live from the Mayor Hedlund's office. I'd like to introduce my colleague, my friend, and your current mayor, Robert Hedlund.
Hello, Jim.
Good afternoon, Robert. How are you today?
I'm good.
That's a curious question, or curious answer, Robert, because the first question we have comes from Michelle Marston.
I like the fact you're diving right into these questions this week, Jim.
It's important to bring up the fact that we had an injury in the house here, Mayor. And that the first question was that we heard a rumor that you suffered a severe leg injury with a recent sporting activity. Was it badminton? Was it shuffleboard? Please don't tell us you hurt yourself playing your beloved softball. If so, have you considered knitting or golf? From Michelle Marsden in South Weymouth. Thoughts,
Michelle's
please.
very funny. I have not considered knitting. I have been advised by some of my friends whose softball careers ended in years past and have taken up golf that I should join them. The jury will be out on that, but yes, I did suffer an injury on the softball field about a week and a half ago. My first ambulance ride ever.
Oh, boy.
My first stay in a hospital bed ever.
Ouch. And who performed the procedure for you?
Well, a very capable surgeon who was on call for the weekend at South Shore Hospital.
Oh, wonderful.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
I don't know if I want to put the name out there or not.
No,
but,
that's fair. But they're their new orthopedic center, I would presume?
Yes. Yeah. And great job. Everybody at South Shore Hospital was excellent.
Awesome.
Everybody from the emergency room attendants on up. So it worked out well, considering, and I'm not sure if my foot is visible in the shot here, but we have a high-tech, as you noted before we went on the air, a high-tech physical therapy contraption here, which consists of medical device, I guess we can call it, which consists of a chair and a piece of plywood. So my leg is elevated. I can't bend my knee, and it's without it being elevated, it gets quite painful. But
I'm beginning to get concerned for the employees of the town if this is the best our health plan is offering you.
Well, I was thinking the other day that Governor Baker had a knee injury and was in a brace, and he was able to perform his job as governor of the Commonwealth, and so far this has not impacted to any great degree my ability to get to work and do the job here. So we continue on. Unfortunately, I've got to wear this brace for a long time. So putting a little crimp in my summer activities.
And I'm going to nominate the mayor for a Purple Heart if we give one out locally, because this guy was back on the job on the Monday following major surgery on a Saturday, and to me that was extremely impressive, Robert. I know it's difficult getting around.
I mean, I wasn't putting in a full day that day, but I mean, there's some things you got to do, and the pain hasn't been bad. So, knock on wood.
Easy comes.
Knock on my plywood high-tech.
For those of you who can't see this, a 1x12 that he's got his leg up on, and it works. So as always,
So I'm going to preempt you. You are the citizen advocate.
Indeed.
And inquisitor, and you haven't seen this one, but a gentleman wrote in, and I want to preface this because he did give his name. He gave his name, his email address, and everything, obviously. But he starts off and it says, Mayor Hedlund, I wish to remain anonymous as I offer my opinion and suggestions on the WETC Ask the Mayor series. And this is a rather lengthy question, and this is evidence that we do take criticism. We welcome it. We welcome your input, feedback. And I'm going to let the citizen advocate on behalf of the gentleman, Mr. X, who did give his name. And he reiterates at the end, again, I wish to remain anonymous, so don't read his name. But he has some interesting input, a couple points I'd like to address, and a couple points that are well taken.
Here we go. And of course, I'm addressing those you don't see. Behind the scenes, there's 3 cameramen, and of course, the great Mary Heinrichs from WETC. I guess this is addressed to all of us on some level, and here we go.
Mainly it's addressed to you, Jim, actually.
Mayor Hedlund. First, I'm very happy you're doing a show that residents can communicate with their mayor. However, the most recent episode was a big disappointment. In 29 minutes, you had roughly 6 questions. I'll spare you the details. A good portion of the show involved roughly 10...
No, I want to hear them.
Okay. The 6 questions were connected to the town cleanup, a gas line, a dead-end street, Columbian Square update, an Iraq veteran, and a resume from a nurse looking for a job. Did she get hired, by the way? Can you comment on that? Okay. A good portion of the show involved roughly 10 to 12 minutes of what appeared to be a home movie of your son, a 5-minute segment on spelling Massachusetts, and music on Nantasket in 1981, and a story about being pulled over in Canada. That was me. A good portion of the show was nonsense blather and had absolutely nothing to do with the town. That's our format, for heaven's sakes.
Blather? Was the word blather?
Blather.
Okay.
To be candid, this show is more like an insider club and it's not done with any level of professionalism or seriousness, and I believe it reflects badly upon you and the office you hold. I understand the need for humor and keeping things a little semi-formal, but in the show there's no level of seriousness, and I believe there should be. It comes across as you needing to fill up 30 minutes of airtime so you can check a box that says you simply did it. My suggestions include firing the chubby guy that asks the questions. No, that doesn't say that. Be more prepared. Forget the I have not seen these questions before format because it represents an attitude that you don't really care. Have your host be much more serious in his role rather than come across as an old buddy over on Saturday night down in the man cave having a couple beers and just talking about stuff. I think we need to add in some beer into this mix. I think that would help. Review the questions prior to taping and break them into certain areas. For instance, you could address North Weymouth, South Weymouth, East Weymouth, and Weymouth in general with questions from about those parts of town. 10 minutes each fills up about 40 minutes. Maybe have representatives guest hosts each week, someone from North Weymouth, someone from South Weymouth, etc. Finally, I hope you do begin to take the show more seriously. If not, then to be more honest about what the show is and what your intentions are. Again, I wish to remain anonymous. Signed, dun 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 dun. So, would you like to speak to those first?
Yes.
Okay.
First of all, I don't know where to start, but I think, first of all, I appreciate the fact that the gentleman who wrote this takes it this seriously, because we are trying to communicate issues back to the residents of Weymouth, and he offers a lot of good advice. And again, this is on you, Jim. You are the citizen advocate. You are the guy who is steering the vehicle here.
The dialogue.
So you've got to take Mr. X's criticisms very seriously. I know you take your job as citizen advocate seriously. He likes to prepare for the show. In fact, today he actually was going to get a haircut prior to the show, but we accelerated the schedule here. I watched him cancel his hair appointment, which I don't know how that works where you actually have an appointment to get your hair done.
It's a very exclusive barbershop.
But let me address a couple of the points. Number one, it was not a home movie of my son. It was vacation week, and he was actually here in the office, and we had him jump in. Yes, we kind of got a little silly with that. I admit that. And we did cut into the time. Last show that he cites, actually it was 2 shows ago that he cites, we did waste a lot of time because it did kind of get a little silly, and I had a lot of fun that day. So we try to have a little bit of fun and a lot of information, so we want to kind of maintain a good balance there. I would invite the gentleman, if he would like to write back, if he would like to actually co-host sometime and keep us focused and ask us some questions directly, and have the opportunity, because this is the most well thought out email that we have gotten thus far.
That's a fact.
We are going to, and we've delayed it actually, but we are going to resurrect the tradition that was started under Mayor Kay, where we have a show called the Mayor's Monthly Forum, which we're going to do a half-hour segment of that. And that will be very seriously, that will focus on one topic in depth, and we will continue this show. So we're trying to strike a balance. We may get a little more offbeat with this show, and we'll be very serious with the Mayor's Monthly Forum. So stay tuned for that, because it should be up in a couple of weeks. The first show actually is going to be in detail on the Spectra gas compressor station proposal, and I will be joined by our town solicitor, Joe Callanan, on that show. So stay tuned for that. The segmentation thing of doing something by areas, I guess it's a good idea, but sometimes we get a lot of questions in a given week. Sometimes we don't get as many as we would like, so it varies week to week. This week we do have a plethora of questions, and I think there's a couple questions that we've held over that we didn't get to in the last show because, Mr. X, we got very silly and wasted a lot of time. We are going to pare down the ending of the show where we talk about, that's going to be more condensed, where we talk about a local personality. Yep. That's Jim's big thing. He's really into that and want to keep that. So I think that addresses most of the, being prepared. We try to be prepared, but I also want a level of spontaneity with this. I like the spontaneity thing, so I'm not going to totally concede on that. I like Jim to give us the questions in the spirit that they were provided by the residents, so I don't want to have him doing any editing in that sense. Be more prepared, etc. Be more serious. Old buddy over on a Saturday night down in the man cave. See, if it was a Saturday night in a man cave, Jim Melody would have his guitar. So we'll really tick this guy off. Maybe you can bring your guitar sometime.
At least 2 spoons, for heaven's sakes.
And maybe have representatives guest host each week. I like that. I think we'll work that in at some point. Maybe have a third person here that can join in the questions. So I appreciate the fact that the gentleman is watching. I appreciate the input. And if anyone else digresses and differs in their opinion, let us know. And if you think we should get more serious, let us know. So I hope he's satisfied with that answer.
And part of my response to that would be to quote the greatest Republican of all time, or paraphrase, you can please some of the people all the time, all the people some of the time, but we'll never keep all the people happy all the time. The stated goal of this programming, as we were looking to assemble it, was infotainment is the phrase. It's supposed to be informational, presented in an entertaining format.
I'm not totally agreeing with that, but we are modeling this after the old, as we've said before, the old WSBK TV, Channel 38, Ask the Manager show, where a lot of information was imparted about the workings of the station, and we want to impart information about the workings of the town, but at the same time, they had a little fun at times. Sometimes they did get too silly on that show. There were times when there was a perfect balance, so that's what we strive for. So, let's get to the questions.
Moving on. So I guess I shouldn't ask you your favorite kind of candy.
That's not really a question, right? Please.
It was not.
Okay.
All right, moving forward. How the heck did you get the parking lot in the South Weymouth Business District paved so quickly into your administration?
Well, we've covered this a couple of times, so we'll be very brief on this question.
There's a part 2 to this, if you don't mind, real quick, before you speak to that. Also, at one point
let me answer part 1, then give me part 2.
Go ahead.
So real quick, the town had plans done in 2008, overall consultant study that looked at the entire Columbian Square. Phase 1 was considered to do the parking lot, and then we can accommodate work later when work has to be done on the main streets and sidewalks, etc. There's no funding for this, but I went to Southfield after taking office, went to Elstar, I should say. And under the whole Mass Environmental Policy Act, MEPA, they have to do some mitigating work around town as a result of their project. It's not spelled out specifically. There are just things they have to do to, quote, unquote, kind of make MEPA happy. So I went to them knowing that really some of the things they had to attend to was Columbian Square related. So can we accelerate where we're at in the process and do the work sooner rather than later? They agreed. We dusted off the old 2008 plan. We actually had in-house Jim McGrath at TPW's engineering department do the plan in-house, saving us some time and money. We used our existing blanket contract with the town's paving contractor to do the work. We had drainage work done. So as we speak today, the top coat was put on yesterday. We're probably not going to see the lights delivered until for another couple of months, but the footings are in for that. And pretty soon you'll see the striping done, the planting's done, the curbing is all in, so we're pretty much done. Now we're going to move ahead with phase 2. We just had the town council approve a measure, or we've submitted the measure, it hasn't been approved yet, $20,000 to undertake an updated a traffic study. Before we can move on phase 2, we really have to make a determination whether or not lights will actually work in Columbian Square, given the characteristics of the square and so many emergency vehicles going through there.
And there's no existing light plan, right? I don't recall ever seeing lights in that back.
Well, there were options done in the 2008 study where they looked at status quo, roundabout, and traffic signalization.
Right. Yeah.
And there was.
When you say lights, you mean traffic lights? I thought you meant like street lights in the back parking lot.
No, traffic lights.
In
Columbian Square. So I'm talking about phase 2.
Oh, holy smokes! Okay.
So in other words, we're kind of wrapping up phase 1, which is considered the parking lot. So phase 2 is the major work. So we want to get a jump on that also.
Wow.
So that's where we're at.
If you haven't seen the work that's being done up there, I live in that neck of the woods. It's nothing short of miraculous. It's really amazing. It's transformed a beat-up space that had potholes the size of Volkswagens, and it looks like a zillion. And I mean, it's just fantastic. And I personally couldn't believe that you guys were able to knock it off so quickly into your administration. It's been like that forever. I've lived in that area for 15 years.
We couldn't have done it without the cooperation of L-Star. The great work that DPW did in-house in managing this and doing some of the work themselves.
Dynamite.
So
it looks like a zillion. Part 2 of that, same train and kind of a similar track. At one point, we heard that the former Chowder House was going to become a Dunkin' Donuts. What's going on at that site?
A plan has been filed with the town. Licenses, applications have been made. An outfit called the Cottage is taking shape, and I know they're doing work now. And I don't know what their time schedule is, but we're glad that we'll have an operating business on that site.
No Dunkin' Donuts.
No Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. No.
Okay,
That was Dunkin' Donuts actually inquired about utilizing the site. They wanted to use the basement kitchen there as a commissary, and I think that it may have been contingent on some drive-through aspect, which didn't work, but it never really got into a real application stage with the town, and whatever issues may have existed with the seller and the proponent. But
interesting.
There is a transaction has occurred, and it will be a Irish type sports bar, pub, Irish pub kind of thing.
Well, per Mr. X's request, staying focused in the South Weymouth area, another question that's been sent in to us was, there's an abandoned lot on the Park Avenue site that was the former location of Hugs Plus Daycare Center. There's all kinds of grumblings as far as what's going into that space. Any thoughts or comments, Mayor?
Yeah, there's a entity that owns the site that has come to the town informally. And I don't think that this has been, I'm not sure if this has been reported in the news yet, and they haven't formally filed with the town, but they have held some neighborhood meetings with residents and abutters, and have had meetings with our planning department, and they have proposed a very dense apartment project proposal.
Boy.
The aesthetics of it look great. Unfortunately, it's extremely dense. It's possibly one of the more dense proposals we've seen in town, which probably isn't going to work. I don't think that they would probably achieve the variance that they would need to do that kind of density, and that hasn't been well received by the neighbors. But they continue to work with the neighbors, and they continue to work with our planning department, and I think you'll see them come back with some alternatives to that. And by the way, by right, there are things they can do by right under the existing zoning there that might not be as palatable. So we're hoping that they come back with something that the neighborhood over there embraces and allow something to happen on that site that will benefit the town.
And that question actually came in from Darlene Gooddick, who's a pal and a person that lives in that neck of the woods, and definitely there's a lot of concern from the local residents as far as a huge apartment building going in a very small space.
Yeah, and I know that there had been a gas station there at one time, I believe, and there was a high level of contamination that the current owners have cleaned up.
I'm laughing because I brought my daughters used to go there for daycare when it was Hugs Plus. The most recent tenant, which is at least 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Was Hugs Plus.
Yep. So, they've got a substantial investment. I understand that. And they want to obviously recover that investment, but, they've got to come up with a plan that works.
Okay. All right. Well, going to North Weymouth as we cross town. A question came in with summer upon us. Have you given any thought to better access for beaches and boating? Beaches and boating.
Well, I don't know exactly what they mean by access, but there's a lot happening down at the beaches. Our recreation department has just purchased new floats that I signed off on, and we're excited about that. The floats that are used to give the swimming lessons were rather beat up and very splintery.
I think those are the same ones I used in 1967, maybe.
Yeah, and these things are great. We got a good price, and they're synthetic recycled material that are used, very aesthetically pleasing. So I think when folks see that, they'll be pleased. We have attempted to reinvigorate our waterfront committee, which has kind of been to put it diplomatically, inactive. And we've kind of empowered them. And right out of the gate, they have come back with a couple of suggestions and initiatives for some waterfront projects. One that I guess I can kind of announce through this venue, although it's in the early stages. They have suggested that one initiative worth pursuing, and it would be through possibly community preservation funding, would be a kind of a boardwalk down along, and I haven't seen any plan yet, but we are going to move forward with a quick feasibility study to see if this is something that can be done, but a boardwalk that would run in front of, and I don't have the exact location, but kind of by the seawall, in front of the seawall. So this would kind of make more aesthetic, pleasing situation and actually create some access also. And we also have down there, which I'm excited about, is private citizen, local business person who's very involved in local basketball leagues came to us and offered to rebuild the basketball courts at the beach in the parking lot.
Sure.
And we decided to take a look at that, and as part of that, we figured if we're going to undertake that effort and we have this private funding available to do that, it might make sense to see what we could do to put a little tot lot in adjacent to it. So if someone's down there for the day, they want to break up their day on the beach, a cloud cover comes over, the kids are getting unruly, you want to bring them over across the street to the tot lot, they can burn off some energy there, and it'd be a nice complement to the beach.
Wow.
So that's something that's in the planning stages now. Also, we think it'll fit. You'll have a nice new basketball court down there. It'd probably be fenced in, segregated from the tot lot. And I think that would be a nice enhancement for the beach.
Sounds fantastic. I think we're going to have to rename this episode of Ask the Mayor the zoning episode, because we've got another one, and again, we're staying in the North Weymouth area. This one comes in from...
By the way, our Mr. X, that had the critique of the show, is going to be happy that you are compartmentalizing all of these North Weymouth questions into one segment.
Well, we're doing our best, but if I recall, he doesn't want us really laughing a whole heck of a lot, which P.S. the feedback I'm getting from all of our viewers is keep the humor coming, baby. The laughs and the camaraderie are a big part of why people are tuning in. So again, it's difficult to keep everybody happy.
We know what your wife mentioned.
Well, this one comes in from Ev Tempesti, who's down in the North Weymouth area as well, down by the beach. I know Ev. And she has asked, regarding the Calpine parcel in North Weymouth, have you given any consideration to looking at current zoning for possible modifications to suit today's needs and to better protect our community? I'm not familiar with this Calpine parcel. Tell us a little bit about that.
So they're referring to the north parcel, which is on the opposite side of the Fall River Bridge from the Calpine power plant.
Okay. Oh, Calpine's the operator of that power plant.
Yes.
I'm sorry, the old Edison plant.
Yep, which became Scythe when it was resurrected. So just by way of a little history, which has been reported lately, when the host community agreement was being approved, it was done at the last town meeting in town history, 1999.
Oh, geez.
The Fall River Watershed Association got up and opposed the agreement, suggested it be amended, and suggested that the north parcel, which in Scythe's plan was delineated on their map as surplus property to be reserved for future development. And I got up and spoke at town meeting and supported Fall River Watershed Association's initiative into amending the host community agreement with then Scythe. And what they wanted to do was have the town keep that parcel. I was actually booed on stage at town meeting. I was booed, okay?
I apologize for that, by the way.
I know. But people saw Scythe at the time as the golden goose, and really the town bent over backwards to welcome Scythe to town. The town even at the time gave them a significant tax break, okay? Now fast forward to 2016, and that north parcel is going to be the site of a very controversial compressor station.
Sure.
So had the town had control of that site and listened to the Fall River Watershed Association, I won't say listen to me, but listen to the Watershed Association, we might not be in this position that we are in with Spectra. Having said that, just prior to the taping of this, we actually had a meeting at this very table earlier today with Calpine. One of the first things that we did upon taking office and looking at the whole situation with Spectra was the agreement that we have and to see if we could use that agreement to take control of the north parcel. There's some language in there that says that Calpine has to cooperate with us with the future use of the site. We've raised issues that they haven't cooperated with us because obviously the town's position is that we don't want the compressor station, so therefore we do not want Calpine cooperating with Spectra. The problem is, under the FERC regulations that govern this whole process, once and if FERC grants Calpine a certificate, Spectra a certificate, and Calpine does not want to cooperate in selling them the land, they literally can walk down to, I forget if it's federal or state superior court, file a motion, and within a matter of a couple months take control of the land because of the FERC guidelines. The FERC guidelines give them enhanced powers through the eminent domain procedures. So even if we tried to block that, even if Calpine did not cooperate with Spectra, it's like a hot knife through butter how that process works with the power that FERC grants the power companies in these instances. So the taking will happen. We're trying to work with Calpine right now. That was the purpose of the meeting earlier today, to have them cooperate more fully with us in opposing the project. So that's kind of the short answer. We've gotten a lot of emails, not for the show, but through direct to me at Town Hall, where people are suggesting that there's some language in the agreement. Someone caught wind of it, and I think the FRAC group is now generating emails to me. I want to assure everyone we're well aware of what the host community agreement says. We understand what the language is, and we've tried to use that to our benefit, unfortunately, because, again, the whole FERC process empowers the gas companies in this instance. Wow. So that's, I could go on a little long with that one. That's a short answer. I know we're running out of time in this segment. Yep. And our first questioner, Mr. X, wants us to make sure we get to a lot of questions.
Well, listen, as we wrap up our latest edited version of
that was a quick half hour, by the way.
I do and will continue to promote a primary a citizen from Weymouth who's gone on to great glory, because I think it's important that everybody understands that you coming from Weymouth is an awesome thing, and the sky's the limit if you grow up in this neck of the woods. In particular, there's a connection to Wayfest, an event that the mayor's hosting.
When are you going to do Hal? When are you going to do Hal Holbrook, man?
Well, we'll get to Hal, but real quick, I think everybody's aware, I really hope they're aware at this point, that on June 18th, the mayor's hosting a huge block party to help rebuild the sense of community in this town. It's called Wayfest. It'll be held on the grounds of Southfield from 11 to 8 p.m. Really excited about a lot of things as it relates to that event, but in particular, through the great Betsy Harris at the Weymouth Public Schools, we have an official connection to the United States Olympics. It's official. And to capitalize on this in the sense of community building, we're having a torch run through the streets of Weymouth that'll begin at the original landing spot of the settlers in 1622. It's almost 9 miles exactly to the starting point of Wayfest on the grounds of Southfield. Among the folks who will be carrying the torch, we've spoken in the past of Tim Sweeney, Weymouth's Olympian in the 1990 Olympics, but a lot of folks don't know that we have a second Weymouth citizen, born and raised, Jonathan Edwards, who was an Olympian in 1992 at the Lillehammer Olympics. And Jonathan is originally from South Weymouth, actually lives in Calgary, Canada at this point. And Jonathan's agreed to come back and carry a leg of the torch run as well.
Nice.
His mom still lives in South Weymouth. Jonathan, again, qualified for the Olympic team in 92, and they finished fourth, if you can believe it, in the men's double event. But Jonathan had a great high school football career, went on to that luge position. And Jonathan, we salute you and your achievements. We're really excited that you could take the time to come all the way back from Canada to carry a leg of the torch run.
He graduated high school somewhere in proximity to Tim Sweeney, too, I believe, right?
Exactly, but he went to a private school, and I can't recall it off the top of my head. But Bob will be recognizing all our runners on stage at Wayfest, and it's a really exciting event that we hope everybody can join us at down there. There's essentially 3 hours of awesome community building events, old-fashioned sack races, three-legged races, police versus firefighters wiffle ball game, a touch-a-truck event, 1,000 other things going on.
6 hours of music.
And
Don't
6
forget
hours
that.
of music. From 11 to 2, we've got community building events, and from 2 to 8, we've got 6 hours of music, 5 local bands with the headliner of Danny Klein, the original bass player.
Well,
Trey
all
Giles.
mod cons might They're coming in from London.
All right,
so
4.5 bands
Here
for
we
the
go.
local connection. But our headline is Danny Klein, the original bass player, and Jay Giles, and they do an amazing
Original and
tribute.
current.
And current, pardon me. But we're really excited about this opportunity down there. Montilio's is our primary food concessionaire. All food products will be priced under $5, and it's super family friendly. And we're really excited for everybody to come down and join us in this community building day.
I believe you have Heather Mullen as one of the
Thanks for bringing
carrying
that
the
up.
torch too,
Yeah.
and she's going to be doing it on the back of a motorcycle.
Oh my gosh, we've got 9 incredible citizens of distinction who have agreed to carry that torch for our nine different runners, 9 different legs. And Heather Mullen will be carrying her leg on the back of a motorcycle. It's really going to be amazing. From Becky Haw, the town council of North Weymouth, who was so active in that Spectre fight, to Jonathan and Tim.
And this is a gas flame on that torch, right?
That's all being managed right now, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Stay tuned. Acquiring an Olympic torch is
I hope it's not fracked gas. All right, we got to run.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for the feedback.
See you next week.
Stay tuned for I Dream of Jeannie, coming up next.
If you have a question, please email the mayor at askmayorbob@gmail.com. That's askmayorbob@gmail.com. Maybe your question will be answered on the next episode of Ask the Mayor.